Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests include QAnon experts, investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat-out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
According to wellness beliefs, dating back thousands of years, your body possesses an unspoken wisdom that we seek to enhance. These sources of energy, known as your chakras, lend power to your everyday pursuits and guide your state of well-being throughout the day. We created Mantra Essential Oils to help you tap into these innermost points of energy. Mantra Essential Oils are nature's sources to align your energies, calm your senses, and connect with your inner self. We invite you to experience each blend traditionally used for its own therapeutic properties. Balance the connection between mind, body, and spirit. Mantra Essential Oils. Order from an affiliate today.
Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. Thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. We hope you woke up the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. We have a very special guest on here today, Amy Satori, world-renowned, famous psychic medium. So we're going to get to know her in just a moment. I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, kindly hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment how you like the show, and most importantly, share it. And remember, when you watch this, you will be watching this on spirituallyraw.live, where you can get all of that and watch that for free 3 days on us. So please enjoy the show there too. So, we got a lot of crazy times going up right now, huh? Just came off a couple of lives, and it's got a lot going on today. So we've got Amy here, and Amy's going to help us settle it down, right? No pressure.
What a crazy day. What a crazy day. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. So Amy, before we get into crazy things of the day, let's get our audience, if we could, get a chance to get to know you. A little bit about you, if that's all right.
Yeah. Well, I do a podcast, and my specialty is true love and celebrities. So that's what I specialized in, and that was what my podcast was about. And I used to have a lot of guests on it, things. I used to do something real similar to what you guys are doing. And then I had a show on TuneIn Radio. Just went blank. So I've also been voted the best of Boulder Psychic 3 years in a row now, and I got TP. Yeah, IAOTP voted me the 2020 Best Spiritual Teacher of the Year.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, things seem to be going like really, really great. But those are like my thing. But I'm a healer. I'm a pet psychic. I do Qigong, a fairyologist, a law of attraction practitioner, you name it. And
Fairyologist. Now that grabs me right there. All right. We got fairyologist.
So when it comes to like unseen things, that's my thing. But I think the thing that I have to offer, I think the most is my experience with enlightenment, or like the 5D.
Great.
A lot of people, it's kind of mysterious. The whole idea of being in the 5D is just like, what's that even going to be like? Are we going to communicate telepathically, or is it, So I just wanted to share my experience, or my experiences with the unseen world, so that it can give you guys a lot of hope, because it is our most important and valuable asset.
That's really great, and that's what we've been looking for. It's so interesting. We just actually got off of a show on a live show we were doing a little bit earlier. We were talking about, and it's really helping people from our perspective, Amy, like what we're going through as individuals, spirits, whatever, our experience on 5D. So it's great to have you here to be able to talk about that, because right now I think it's needed more than ever.
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing, you guys. Oh my gosh. So when this all happened,
there's more crazy.
When all the toilet paper disappeared out of the stores and everything, I remember driving down the road going, am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, what's happening?
Yes, exactly.
And all the only answer I got in the silence of my driving when I asked that question, I was like, "What's going on?" And all I got was this huge word, rumors.
Yeah.
Sat with me through this whole ordeal and got me through everything because I was like, "Oh my gosh, it is." And then it turns out to be this whole psychological warfare thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they are trying to get us not to know that we have our own form of adrenochrome in us that is, like you guys have talked about, limitless." You know, I watched that movie and I was like, that's exactly what 5D is. It's exactly what it is. But you don't need a drug. That's the secret. And you don't need to be killing kids.
And we can tap that now.
We can get it now. We can get it now. And in fact, I've heard some people say it's a long progress, and it can be. It can be a long thing, a long, drawn out, slow process. Everybody's going to be different, but it was like a blink. It was like, oh, this is who I am, and the ego was gone. It was like, oh, I mean, it took. I wouldn't even call it work. It was more realization. I had read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and I had gotten myself ready for it. I remember going to this really nice lady for massages, and she could talk to angels, and I was just in awe that she could do all that. You know,
how long ago was that? This experience?
Oh gosh, probably 10 years ago. But enlightened again. I've enlightened about two to three times. Well, enlightened or gone to the 5D. I'm not sure. I'm not pretty have all the answers and to know what all the different dimensions are. But
I appreciate just the insight in itself is so valuable from your experience. When you say when you got enlightened again, was that like does that mean like you went to another? Was it like going from like maybe like a 5D to
oh my gosh
kind of thing, or how do you do that?
Okay. Well, consider this: not on drugs, not hallucinating, no kind of anything except realizing some truths of what he said in that book. And just a few days of reading the book, and I just remember going, oh my gosh, this is what he's speaking is truth. Like, this is truth than I've ever known was true. It resonated so much that I popped out of this experience almost. It's like I was and a lot of people are like, oh, you have to be in the monk-like state. You have to be on top of a mountain, nobody around, and nobody's stressing you out. But I was a community relations director, and it was a really stressful job. It was so stressful, and all it just pulling back away from myself and being aware of who I was as a separate being from the actual real me, the true me. The true me is the energy that's animating me. It's the part of me that's oneness with God, right? Once I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this little person, Amy. How cute. She's just sitting in this little body and, you know? And when I detached away from it and looked at it from a certain angle, it became like for 6 months, I lived in this space where all of a sudden I understood what probably Gandhi and Mother Teresa, some of the people who are actually not Mother Teresa, but like, true enlightened beings, people who've actually really been there, and they're not just regurgitating the information or whatever. I just remember driving along in the car and realizing that I wasn't driving the car. My body was being operated by God. It was like God, I was like an empty puppet, and God's hand went right in there and was like, turn left, turn right, make yourself a sandwich, brush your teeth. Like, everything that I did, I was doing because I was prompted to. There was no thinking on my part. There was no, oh, I have to get ready for work. It was just my body was animated by God. And even the words that would come out of my mouth, I wasn't using any thinking. In fact, if I had to think, like if I had to do math or something, I could actually, I remember reaching for the tool, pulling it down, using thinking for the math, and then I would let it go again. But everybody who came to see me and came in that door and they were looking for a place to stay because I was renting rooms, I would know exactly what they needed to hear without even trying. It would just come out of my mouth, and sometimes they would cry, and I would say, and I wasn't even moved by the tears. I was just walking love. It was like a deeper love. We we are programmed to think that, when things happen, somebody dies in our lives or something, we have to be all dramatic about it and we have to suffer and cry and
Right.
honor them by doing that. But there's a different kind of love where you're holding the space for that. You're allowing it to be just as it is. And it's it's walking compassion, but it's not. People think that drama is love sometimes, and it's not.
Can I share something real quick? When we were in India many years ago, if anybody's ever been to India, especially like almost 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, the roads, there are no roads. And if you're like in Delhi, New Delhi stuff, they have roads now. But we were in the back, deepest, darkest villages of India, going through the mountainside, and we hired a driver, and they weren't even roads; it was dirt.
The mountain.
Yeah, and it was like bumpy, I mean, crazy. And in the middle of the night, there's not a light in sight. You literally cannot see the hand in front of your face. It's so dark. And the driver was driving like a freaking maniac, like fast. I'm literally freaking out. And he's laughing. He's like, no. And he's saying it in Hindi. And Jay can interpret it too, but I could understand what he was saying. He goes, no, don't worry. He goes, I don't drive my car. I'm like, what? He goes, God is the driver of my car. And he never.
Wow.
And you know what it is? It's like when you're driving through that experience, Amy, it's like you're up a winding mountain like this, like miles and miles, hours and hours, and you're always, I'm not kidding you, you're always this close away from falling off the cliff.
Over.
There's no guardrails, there's nothing. You're just always that close away.
That's scary.
I mean, it is a worst roller coaster ride.
And the driver's laughing again.
No problem.
I drive my car.
There'll be like a frost on the
You're just like, okay.
I want to ask you this. What do you think through this learning experience? And, we're actually, it's kind of interesting because we were talking about how we've kind of taken a step through 2020 to really just take in a lot of what's being said, right? And really, just like everybody else, even though we're having a show, we're sitting back and what do you got to say, right? So now it's like, okay, now how do you start to apply this stuff? What do you think the biggest misconception that you can share with us, Amy, and our audience that people should be aware about as it relates to the 5D? Like, what's the biggest misconception that you think that we've been told about it?
Well, for one, God, if we've been programmed for so long, it's like we're programmed to feel guilty and to feel all these negative feelings, and that we're unworthy of love, and that we're unworthy of something good happens to us. And it's like, I'm in the true love category here too. They're oftentimes the divine masculines, the ones that run away from love. They're like, I'm not worthy. I've done bad things. I've had bad experiences. I've made bad choices. And it's just there's this oppressive energy over everyone feeling like they can't have love, or they can't be happy. Or if they do get happy, they're looking over their shoulders like, when's the other shoe going to drop, or, that kind of thing. But I think it's the way that we're in that it creates I have to do, and be happy. It creates like this constant striving into the future to try to be happy. And, there's a reason on the news they talk in the past tense and the future tense. And everything that we hear, almost everything that we read is always based on the past or the future.
Yes.
We're totally surrendered in the now. And we let go of all of it, and we are just concentrating on this moment only. And we've totally made friends with it by surrender. It's like there's nothing that Okay, all right. So I remember when I was in that state, and I'm not in it now, but when I was for the 6 months, and the other time, which I'll tell you, there was a difference between the two, but I remember there being a thought form that started to float down, and I could sense that it was out here, and I could sense that it was scary. I could sense that it was going to try to tell me some kind of story to buy into, where I felt like, oh yes, protect me, tell me the scary story so that I can go gather guns or gather food or, gather things so that I can be ready, so I can be in control of it somehow. But I didn't ever listen to what it was, but I could just feel the vibration of it was, ooh, you best prepare, or you should know. And when you get to the point where you don't need any of those types of things, you don't need to know anything, you don't need to know any kind of, what I just kind of went, oh, okay, well, whatever. And I ignored it completely and it went away. And when you get in the habit of that, constantly letting go of any of that control, it's amazing how you can manifest like instantly. I remember if I was hungry, I would just be like, hunger pains. And somebody would come through the door literally and be like, hey, I made an extra sandwich today. Would you like one? Like, thank you. I also remember I instantly filled the rooms in like 3 days. I went into a manager's meeting and they said, oh, we have like 15 rooms to be filled in like 2 weeks. This is really a hard thing to accomplish, I know, but we really got to push this and blah, 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 in one of those high stress, meetings. And I remember contemplating for a moment, yeah, I think that sounds kind of cool. I think that sounds good to get all those rooms filled in a couple weeks. And just contemplating that for just a moment, very briefly. Other than that, I was totally in the moment, surrendered, not even, my blood pressure hadn't raised or anything. I just contemplated it and thought, that sounds like a good idea. Within about 3 days, all the rooms were filled. Everyone poured into the door and they were like, we want to go with Amy. We trust her. She has integrity. We're sold. We don't even need to know the details. We don't need to see the room. And I mean, it was just this incredible miracle. And my boss pulled me in his office and he says, Amy, whatever you're doing, like, can you please share your secret? Like, what is this?
What do you attribute it to in your mind? Was it some? I understand that you were just in the now, but what did you do to actually manifest that?
Like to activate it?
To activate that.
I didn't have any intention of activating or manifesting or doing anything. That's the whole thing.
Do you think we've been hoodwinked with that?
Yes.
Let me get up to speed on what you both said because I missed you both. I know you got it. So we think we're hoodwinked on the whole.
On like, oh, you got to put all the intention out and the thoughts and the this and that, and you're saying no, stop.
Yes.
Let it be.
Exactly. Everything. All of it. And just let God lead. I see God as group of deities. It's like it's all of it. It's the unseen world. They're here completely in support of you. There wasn't anything I had to think about or worry about. There wasn't even I need to do as I'm told to it. There were no thoughts. It was just instinct.
And instinct. Was it
just a matter of just being in the present? I mean, was that just it, just being in the present and that's it? There's no past, there's no future, it's just present?
I suppose if I was making any effort, if there was any effort at all, the effort was keeping my attention on the aliveness in my body.
Was it an assumption that it was already done?
But that's even effort somehow. I was just like there was no trying or anything. I was just like just okay, just kind of ready. But just kind of ready.
It was just there, just kind of there.
And it would just come and it would just be there. There would maybe come an idea, but there might have been. Huh?
You were ready. Without any expectation.
Okay.
It was the fact that you were ready. You were ready, period. You're ready.
Yeah, yes, I was, I guess I was, not even prepared. It was willing. Like, thy will be done. When I hear that, thy will be done. And that's the key. We're talking about the kingdom of God within us. Yep. That's the kittens are at play.
Bring them on. They're we've had goats.
And they had to find the loudest thing.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Okay, though, I have to say this though. This is the background work that I was talking about that I did to talk to angels, right? So I would come in there with an attitude about people. I'd just be like, that person lied to me, and this person all this drama I used to go in with. I was all into the drama back then. And she worked on me for years, and she kept saying, now, Amy, now in which way are you lying to yourself? And I'd be like, I'm not lying to myself, everybody else is lying. get so mad at her. Quit saying it's about me. And so, like, after a while, though, I thought, she's talking to angels. She's got to have something right. She's got to be doing something right. So maybe if I want to get past always fighting with her about this, maybe I should just contemplate and maybe think about that. so I started to actually contemplate, and I'd go away and I'd be like, how am I lying? Am I lying? Or am I manipulating? So I started to become more self-aware of the things that I was doing that was being reflected in other people. And then I started realizing it's all that way. That's all we're ever doing. When we're saying anything's going wrong out there, it's what's going wrong inside of us. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, that really liberated me. I was like, oh my God, why did I even resist it? It feels so much better to see it in yourself, because then you can do something about it. And even just having the realization, not even having to do, but a good laugh and sense of humor is really key when you're dealing with any kind of evil.
Yes.
To have a sense of humor. And when you're self-aware, and when you can laugh at your ego and you can laugh at yourself, and you can be like, oh my God, like you can catch yourself right in the moment. You're like, you blah, 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 blah. I did that. Never mind.
That's true.
Right. But it gives you this sense of humor, and it all lifts off of you. And
can I say something? I think I totally just got everything you said in one sentence. Because the first thing you said was, I just let it be. Right? It was just let it be. Mm-hmm. Thy will be done. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's already done. It's just be now, right? So just be like. Do you think the biggest mistake we make in our lives, and we've been always talking about this, that are we the gods and goddesses, Amy Incarnate?
I wouldn't. I would say that we are part of the ocean. We're not the whole ocean. We're a drop in the ocean. So we are part of God. We are a piece of God, but He is what animates us, or it is what animates us, or she animates us. So I think that we just have to be willing participants and just not have to. It was so easy. I mean, all I remember looking around and going, all these people just running around going and doing and controlling and everything. And I'm running my car perfectly and everything's going perfectly. And I've got everything I want and I don't even have to effort at it. I don't even have to do a thing. Money was flooding in everything that I ever needed. It was totally like limitless, knowing all the answers to everything, knowing exactly what someone needs to hear, not even getting riled if somebody was yelling and screaming in my face. I would just look at them lovingly and be like, I understand. You're hurting. That's how we're meant to be. That's how we're supposed to be.
Now, is that something when you're there? Are you there, or is it something that we slip back and then we have to get back? Or like, how does that work? You know what I mean?
That's been, I've heard people say enlightenment is permanent. Do we really? Do any of us really have the answer? Do we really know? We don't know. There's different possibilities in our world. I do know, for me, from what I experienced, I was so desperate once I stopped. What happened to me is I started thinking again. I took the attention off of the aliveness in my body and my connection to source, and I started putting it on problems. I started putting it on trying to figure things out and stuff like that. So when that happened, I was immediately like somehow ejected. And then I became obsessed with, oh my God, what was that experience? It was like so much pain came rushing at me, having to figure everything out and effort again and control again and have to make phone calls and have to do all this efforting and work. And it was just, it crushed me. And I went into a depression for years. Reading books on enlightenment. I wanted to know how to get it back. I started taking all these programs and learning all these different meditations, and I started efforting like crazy for years. And then one day, it was so funny because a friend of mine, he was in a spiritual group with me, and he looks at me one day and he goes, Amy, are you really enlightened? And I said, I never said I was. I have been. I know what it's like, but I didn't say I'm in there now. And he's like, oh, I'm just wondering. People are talking. We're not sure if you're enlightened or not. I was like, well, just tell them no. I'm not. I'm in my ego, But I do know once you've experienced that, you really do have a really good barometer. But he was just kind of like, okay. And so that just made me go into the other room. I went and sat in the living room for a minute, and I was like, they don't know if I'm enlightened or not, and they're not quite trusting. So I was like, why aren't I back in that state again? What am I waiting for? Because I remember a spiritual teacher saying, Amy, you need to teach right now. That's why you're not in it anymore. You had to come back and be more relatable to people, and there was a reason behind it, but you'll be enlightened again. So I contemplated all of this, and I was like, well, I'm in the perfect environment. I'm surrounded by loving spiritual people for the most part, still with egos, but I was just, I felt like it just kind of dawned on me. I was kind of in a perfect environment for it if I wanted to do it again. And within about a moment, it happened again.
Wow.
So you
It
just
didn't
got
even-
Like that fast? It happened
Yeah.
that fast?
Still sitting there on the couch, still thinking about everything that he just said. Boom! It took me over, and I say that like it really does. There, you guys should know this. There's like a portal or something you go through. You on the edge of a cliff. You can feel almost like a plasma wall or something. And you have to, in that moment, you know how in the Bible it says it's like the eye of a needle, trying to squeeze a camel through the eye of a needle or something. I so relate because there have been moments when I've missed it, when I see that I'm about to walk off a cliff and I question, do I have enough money? Am I going to be able to survive if I go in that state again? Am I going to be, am I going to, any kind of worry that comes up on this, it's like the kingdom of God is before you and you can take that step. But if you don't, you lose that opportunity. It could come back again or maybe
So
not.
it's not like it just opens up at certain times when that God consciousness feels like you're ready of sorts, right? And then
there's a door. There's a door that opens up. But if you don't have any baggage and nothing to hold on to, and you trust in life, you trust God, then boom, it overcomes you. And I wanted to share another story with you about that because I think it's important too. But basically, you say yes to surrender to it, and then it takes you over. And the second time this happened, it was nothing like the first time, except tremendous peace and just total resolve and just. It was incredible. It was so funny too because I walked back in the kitchen. He looks at me. He goes, "Oh my God, you just did it again, didn't you?"
Really?
Oh, so he was able to pick up on.
He knew. He knew because there was so much peace, and I was talking slow. I talk slowly when I'm in that space, and I would go. I just remember being in consultations. And I would just be looking at them, going blah 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 blah, drama, blah 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 blah, problem, and I would just be looking across at them, and all I wanted to do was say, and that was I there were no other words for I was like, if I even say any other words, it won't even make sense. So I came out of it because I was like, I can't go for the rest of my life just telling everyone to shush, So I came out of it again, and then I was like, damn it. I was there again.
So then what did you do?
Yeah.
So then what did you do when you came back out of it?
I just surrendered to it. I quit trying anymore. I just said, you know what? It's who I am. It's who I am. It's inevitable. I'll be that again. So
do you think that had anything to do with that you already came with gifts? Do we, like maybe were you predestined to be able to get there quicker than a lot more people, or do you think we all pretty much have
I think we can all do it if we all just give up all the programming, Oh, here's the thing too. Okay, so here's what I was going to say. This was such a cool experience, and this was my first glimpse at it. I had a husband years ago who would go out and smoke every night on the front porch. So while he was smoking one night, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was just, thinking about work the next day. Oh, I hope I can keep my job. For some reason, I was worried about that. And then all of a sudden, I felt a presence at the like corner of my room, and I looked up at it, and I could tell it was this big energy. This is before the enlightenment experience, right? Feel this big energy, and I lived in a haunted house at that time. It was crazy haunted. It was so crazy. So I feel this feeling, and I look over there, and this feeling gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and approaches me. And I started leaning away, and I was like, I have a decision to make right now. Either I'm going to be afraid of it, or I'm going to trust that it's good. I didn't know which way it was going to go. Either it was fight or flight kind of thing, or like embrace or fight or something. I didn't know what was happening, but it was bigger and it was getting closer, and I could tell it was about to like come into my body or do something. Mm-hmm. I was like, I think it's good. I trusted. I chose to trust. I was like, I think it's good. And sure enough, it took over my body. All of the stress, any ailments dropped away completely. There was just a sea of trust. And I was like, oh my God, did I die? And I was looking around, and I was like, no, everything looks normal unless I'm a ghost and I don't know it. And then I was like, why do I feel so much peace? And then I was, thinking about my job. No, I can't stress about that. Thinking about my husband. No, can't stress about that. I tried to stress myself out, and there was no thought that I could have that would cause me any stress at all. And I just went, oh my God, this is what we could be as people. This is what we're meant to be. It was like a little glimpse of what we're capable of. And then my husband started coming back through the door, and I could hear the door, and it started leaving my body, and it started going back out to where it came from. And I remember I started sobbing because it felt so incredible. I was like, come back. And I started crying. And my husband walks in the room like, what the hell is this? But I also heard a private investigator, a ghost investigator on some kind of ghost show describe the same thing. Like he was on an investigation. He felt something approaching, and it was really big, and it was getting closer. And I was like on the edge of my seat going, did he experience the same thing? And then he said, though, he also felt he had to make a choice, fear or love. Which is it? What's your default? What are you going to assume? And he said, I don't know. I feel like it's bad, or like he thought it was bad. It assumed him and filled him up with the opposite, just tremendous fear.
Same exact thing happened to me. Identical.
Really?
Yes, you're the first person I've ever heard had this experience, and it happened to me when I was in South Florida. I was living in South Florida, and Jay was up here, which is a couple hours away, and it started during the day, and all of a sudden I lived on the second floor. It was when I had a condo right on the water, and the laundry, because it was small, was downstairs, and I was just finishing the laundry. I had everything in the laundry. I was walking up the steps to go to the condo, and I felt this strange rush of energy come through me, and I'm like, that was really weird. And then I felt drunk. I felt like I had just done a couple shots. It was really difficult for me to get to the top of this, and I was totally fine. I mean, I went from being like this to like I feel like I just drank a bottle of liquor. And then when I got into the house and I was trying to brush it off, and I remember sitting down. I had this big chair, like an oversized chair, and I look up and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it was this very dark entity. It looked like what you would think was the
like the Reaper,
the Grim Reaper, and it was like 8, 9. It was like not 10 feet tall, hovering in the corner. And I wish I had, but I hadn't.
Oh, is that when you were blowing up my phone?
Yes, so freaked out. Maybe if I had said, I'm not afraid of you, mother. But I didn't, because it freaked me to live. It was the scariest experience I've ever had in my life. And then when it caught my energy of the fear,
it got worse, huh?
I had an experience that I would not wish on anyone. And it was the darkest opposite feeling that you ever had. But I probably, now that you're saying that, had I reversed my thinking, but the fear was so overwhelming, I didn't even think about, are you from the positive? Because I saw that it was very, very dark. And it was a very, very, very awful experience.
Well, I just think that the reason it's so important to go through all this healing and self-awareness and all that stuff is so that our default starts to be love. We automatically assume everything that's coming to us is from love. When we make that assumption, I think, boom, there it is. And it shows up as love. So what are you anticipating in every moment? Or what do you choose it's going to be? How do you choose, right now in these times? Okay, so
exactly.
Are you going to choose to see it as this, or are you going to choose to see it as that? And that's exactly what you're going to see playing out.
Do you think we're going to be seeing, do you think we're at okay, so here's my one question to you. I got a couple. Is number one, was there anything to this whole December 21st that vortex opened wider maybe than it normally would have? Was there anything to that from your opinion, or did we always have it? We just didn't want to see it?
Always had what?
Like people are saying like how December 21st, that everything's opened up, the energies are opening up on December 21st. Is there anything to that, you think?
Yeah, I do feel it was a little bit of that, the door you walk through and you say yes to. type of feel on a subtler level. You know, I do feel like that it gave everyone a little bit. Oh, well, we could say it pushed them in either direction. It supported them. Okay, I like to look at it this way. God offers things to us like on a silver platter, but it's all the stuff, the bad stuff and the good stuff mixed. So, you know, if you get a piece of mail and it concerns you for a moment and you're not quite sure how to feel into it, love or fear, and you're like, well, I've been in lack before, so the old me would think this or feel that way about this, right? And then the new me would choose this. So you're looking at a platter and there's key lime, you've had that before, you've had coconut cream pie, but you haven't had this lemon custard. Maybe I want to try this new thing, right? So we were at this gate and it's like, would you like to experience more of what you've had before, that lack feeling? Do you want to experience more of this good type of feeling that you haven't felt before, or try on something new? And I feel like it just supported us where we were with more of it.
I gotcha. Okay.
Amplified it.
I want to kind of get to your specialty. I want to talk a bit about your specialty, about what you do, and it's really about more like love connections. Yes,
I think
love connections, healing. Yeah, and I speak light language as well, which is
what is light language?
Amplifying intentions. It is basically the most ancient form of language I think that we speak, and it's from our soul. You don't learn it. You don't take a class on it. It just comes out of you. You just have to be willing to look like a fool and blah, blah, blah for a little bit until it starts to feel more natural, and then it just really starts pouring out. I'll do a blessing for everyone watching if you want. And
yeah, that would be great.
I'd love to have that.
Okay. So everyone just relax your shoulders.
Yeah, we can use this today. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, let's balance these energies.
Yeah, exactly.
Hamamain sa se la natai kai. Hashim papai nate sisin. Hala nate ke momamain chetsen sa. Hala heshin sa pumama nate. Hala nate kin chitsen. Hala ha omamake. Hopopomo ona tadelekrin sa. Sasa hashin se pumamake sa se. Okay, so what I was seeing was like a bullseye. And they were saying, you're going to hit your target. You're going to hit your target. Just clear yourself of any kind of distractions like I did with that thought form that came in. Just, I don't want to hear any of it. I just want this to happen. And if you just focus on the future that we want to have as free and sovereign human beings, alive and capable of having that God source energy coursing through our veins, then that's what you concentrate on and keep affirming. Keep your sights set on. Don't go, that looks scary. You know,
right? Exactly.
If you're in a car and you're in a zoo, one of those drive-through zoos, and some lion comes up to the window, you know, you can appreciate the lion and be like, "Hey, lion, glad I'm in the car with glass between us." You know, just you're in your car, you're in your vessel.
And you know what else? Well, two things. First of all, the language that you were speaking, like it sounded Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And I heard the hoopa loopa, the hoopa hoppa, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like, but we just had Nyla Nguyen on, and she said the same, like the hoopa hoppa, whatever that part was. Is there like a Hawaiian dialect in that?
Well, I've heard it's Lemurian. Some of Lemurian, and some people say it's also from the Himalayas.
Oh,
you know, it's funny because you remember I was telling you wake up sometimes and you have this.
He tells me this all the time.
Like wakes me up and just having this like weird.
Dialect.
I don't know what it is. And it's not a language that I would. It's just weird. I don't want to call you weird. I'm not. I mean,
Maybe I'm.
It's I don't know. Maybe you're on Hoopa Loopa.
Hoopa Loopa land.
Maybe on Hoopa Loopa dialect too.
I've accidentally spoken to my kittens with and they just kind of, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Wow. You know, I'm fascinated by the and I always have been. I know many people are. Obviously, is like do you think now we are in a place, or have we always been there, Amy? Maybe to have the ability to more telepathically communicate.
Absolutely, 100%. That's why you gotta get out of the habit of lying, everybody. No more lying or manipulating. Everyone's gonna be able to see right through it, and it's not even our quantum financial system that's coming out has a consciousness to it. It can tell.
I've heard that. Yeah, exactly. It's so advanced that it can tell the difference.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
There's some good AI there. There's some good stuff there.
Are we in a matrix of sorts, do you think? Do you think we're in a matrix? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Is this matrix that up until maybe someone like yourself who can know now to tap your 5D, for others like that don't know that, is that a version of hell for them?
Well, not if you're familiar with it and if you're comfortable. I was comfortable with it.
So it's just where you're at in your life.
I knew there were lots of missing children all over the world all the time. I was like, well, as long as it's not mine, I guess.
Well, wait a minute. You know, actually, you're making a very, very valid point, because how many times did you see the little kids on the milk cartons? And you were like,
it's so bad, but you're just like, I guess.
Sorry for you. I'm sorry for that parent. And then you're like, what do you want to do today?
Yeah.
And what are we having for lunch?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you get comfortable in it. I mean, dealing with the true love insecurities and everything, the feminists are desperate and they feel abandoned and got to deal with all those issues. Where do you think all those issues came from? That came from programming from way, way back.
Yeah.
If everybody were to just be in 5D, if they were to just be without thought or just living by instinct, they'd be with the one that they love, and there'd be nothing that would keep them from that. And they'd be these power couples making a huge difference in this world. And that's also why evil attacks the true love couples. Oh, you will stay in insecurity. You will less than.
You're going to fight over everything.
That person's better than you. Because when you guys come together, it's playful, it's cute, it's fun, it's powerful, it's supportive. You're like this bright light glowing in the world. When you go grocery shopping, everyone's like, wow, look at those guys, You guys sparkling on your show like you do.
Oh, thank you.
So,
this
is therapy. I mean, this is therapy. I'm not kidding you.
Good.
This is the best therapy in the world.
If you can't have a thought, you can't be controlled and you can't suffer. And if the more that you can become healed, the more self-aware you become. It all perpetuates. And then if you love yourself completely, then you love your neighbor completely, and you love everyone completely, and you're willing to take a look at truths, and you're willing to see. It's one of the toughest things I think we're going to have to face is those poor mothers that thought that maybe some lonely lady just took their child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, wow.
To know what was really behind it all. That breaks my heart. But we've been letting all this happen for so long without even. I remember, I started watching Freak Sense, Charlie, and I was like, some of the points he makes about so many things, I was like, oh my gosh. And I've always scoffed at people and thought they were being ridiculous and picky when they wanted to eat organic, or they wanted to eat like this, or they wanted to do this, or they were talking about the ingredients on everything. I was like, people are getting so picky and ridiculous.
Right, like over the top. Right.
Now that I know everything that has been going on behind the scenes like that, and what they've been intentionally like attacking us and programming us for so long, and to find out about the sex trafficking stuff that goes on and how they've been programmed since they were little. They think it's normal to stab and kill things and to play games with people's heads, and that's all very normal for them.
Yeah.
That's like, what's wrong with you guys, you little weaklings, going around all happy and scared and being playful and cute with puppies, like with you weird people. So
you think we collectively, this 2020, do you think collectively a lot of us gave away a lot more of our power than a lot more than ever? Do you think?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you think that it was just all like waiting on this one moment. You know what I mean? Or waiting on this one person, kind of say.
Oh my gosh, you guys! I mean, to even discover there is no constitution, there's no government, there is no president, there hasn't been for years. Mm-hmm. There's no Congress. There's nothing real about what's going on out there. And all of a sudden, these people with no authority are like asserting themselves and all this tyranny. I mean, it's just like, why are we giving them our power? Because we've been shaped and formed to do that for a long, long time. And now it's just the time that they're they're going balls out after everybody, just asserting their power. Yes, I am the one in power over you, and all we have to do is say, no, you're not. And they're like, oh.
That's so interesting you say that, because I was thinking about that too. Is like, and kind of getting a little bit back to social media just for a minute on this, is because yes, all the censorship does absolutely suck on social media happening right now. I'm just going to take just a quick turn on that one for a second. But they were given the right to do what they're doing to us. You see
by
us. By us.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
what they're doing, they were still given the right by somebody or some politicians. And I think we focus our energies towards the wrong people, even though we may disagree with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe go into our local office and be like, hey, why did you do that? Because it seems like nobody's, other than at a top level, nobody's talking about the actual people that are actually making this happen and enabling this power, the enablers, let's call them.
Well, we do it in a relationship all the time. We people please our person. We date them, we put on our best performance, and when they show resistance, we'll okay, we'll do what you want. We'll go to the restaurant that you want. It's all the same thing, and it's just everywhere. So we just give in to people please, or to not rock the boat, or whatever. But we don't. What people are not realizing is what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Just how evil these people are, and that they don't have a conscience. They're not capable of compassion.
Are they demonic forces, or are they just tapped into that dark energy? Okay, so here you go. Do we have both the dark and the light energy within us? Number one, just clarification on that. And are some of us just tapping into the light within us, or some of us just, and those people maybe tapping the dark with us, and they've almost, is it an energy within us that we already have laying there that you can choose to tap into?
Yeah, coming back to that fear versus love thing. Yeah, they were default. Well, some of them were programmed since they were children, so they didn't have a choice. But those who were older and bought into the whole thing, money will make me happy and all that kind of stuff, just kind of consumes you. These poor celebrities, so many celebrities have bought into that because they got charmed and seduced into the whole thing. Here, then take this thing and they don't even know what it is.
Right.
And then they're getting videotaped doing something, and they're having to, be owned by these people who, so it happens so many different ways. But ultimately, it's like, who is your boss? Where is your safety and security? Is it in fear, or is it in love? Because is it in materialism? Is it in form, or is it in the unseen? Also, because I feel like most, if not all, love energy is in the unseen. Form is in the fear. So it's kind of if you're basing everything on feeling secure in form, then you're in fear. If you're basing everything in feeling secure in the unseen, then you're in love.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Wait a minute, I had another question too. Okay, so for example, on the live that we were just doing, there were quite a few people that were like, "Oh my God, I feel sick. I'm gonna get on my stomach, my nerves. I feel like I'm gonna have a meltdown. This, that, and the other." In which we were like, listen, you need to snap out of it immediately. But
walk them off the ledge.
Yeah, right, exactly. Every time you feel that way, how far is that pushing backwards?
How far is that?
Away from what you were saying, the just be, and you get this energy, and you're getting closer to, and you're, getting more enlightened. How far does that keep pushing you back every time you feel like that? And can you,
Amy, just be like, boom, like almost like wake up? Yeah.
See, this is the awesome thing, right? That's why we practice self-awareness while we're feeling okay. Because in that, you can catch yourself and you're like, oh, I'm in fear right now. What can I do? And sometimes I'll stand up and do the victory pose, or I'll dance around, yes, 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 yes. And nothing's actually happened, but it puts me in alignment with that coming through for me.
What's your victory pose? Can you give it to us real quick?
Yes. Usually I'm doing it like standing up, or I'll do like a little victory dance or something.
You gotta timestamp that spot, and that's our picture right there.
So you can, yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's good though. That's good.
You can stop it right like that. You can you're in that mood. You can go, I'm going to go watch funny cat videos. I'm going to watch animal things and
is there anything to this? Okay, so this is, and I've always kind of utilized this, but is there anything to this, or do we need to be maybe a little bit more I say
Empathic?
empathetic. So like if someone's going down that, like woe is me kind of road, right, or like I like this. I mean, like my instinct is to, hey, don't bring that shit around me, and I'll
Yeah, just keep that to yourself.
and I do it for both of our sakes. You know what I mean? Because I'll help them break their thought pattern. Is that a right way of approaching it, or should it be more like, it's going to be okay? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? I mean, seriously,
Okay.
because it's a lot of that coming out now.
All right, I have a good couple of answers. All right, one of them is asking somebody, so what are you going to do about it? Back them instead of them, because a lot of times it's them coming to you for answers, or you do something about it. You do something about it. So, like, people used to come into my office with so much drama, complaining about each other and all the stress and stuff. And whether that's like demons bringing it to your office, trying to cause chaos in your life or whatever it is, if you address it the same way every time they learn, they're not going to get anywhere. So they'd come on my couch and complain, and I'd be like, okay, what are you going to do about it? And what are you going to do about it? And what are you going to do about it? And they're like, you're no fun. Well, no,
That's good.
You got to figure it out for yourself.
It's all about
You don't mind, do you?
The other thing is there's two exercises I get people to do on a regular basis. For one, I think that everyone on the whole planet should be doing Byron Katie's work. I think that it's called she calls it self-inquiry, and it's at thework.com. She has lots of great videos on YouTube and things like that. Now, I just have to say too, it doesn't matter if, I'm not saying this about her either necessarily, but we're going to find out a lot of leaders like Eckhart and all kinds of people are not who we thought they were. However, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's still good information. If it's transformative and if it helps lift you, then go with it. So Byron Katie's work, Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, all of the things I'm referencing don't necessarily, it's not all in one package necessarily. It's just extract from what it is. You can extract something from something bad too. So having said that, I really do think that her self-inquiry process is phenomenal and very, very freeing. So what I do is the most important part of that process is figuring out what the stressful thought is. So as complaining to me, my son's life is a disaster. I'm so scared for him. I don't know what to do and all this kind of stuff. Then I will just say back to them in quotes, I should know what to do for my son, or I should my son's life should be going better than it is. So I'll give them the thought to work on, rather than giving them the answer or anything. I give them the thought that will go straight to the core of who they are, that they can investigate and unravel and have some revelations over, that'll help give them epiphanies and free themselves from that stressful thought. So it's the same, it's along the same lines of, I'll teach you to fish, I'm not going to give you the fish though. Because in my line of work, people love crossing those boundaries. They even try to be my friend and things like that. They're all not, then they think that they can. Yeah, you have to kind of learn to have really good boundaries, and to when you constantly put up these really good healthy boundaries, and you just say this or you just say that, and it just keeps it nice and tidy and clean and neat, and everybody knows where they stand, and it doesn't get all gray and wishy washy or when you don't have good solid boundaries, and things tend to just get really blurry and icky and all kinds of things. So I like to just be really clear and short if I can be.
All right, right on. Hey, Amy, we're getting down to the close of the show.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, can you give our audience just some, as they're going through times right now, whatever that means to them, wherever they're at in their life, whatever that means to them. Can you give us some messages of what you feel like, maybe we should just be hanging on to right now over these coming months, times, just to really help brace ourselves a bit more?
And what we should be letting go of.
Yes. Okay. So I think this covers both possibly. And it's another exercise I was going to say, other than doing Byron Katie's work, because there's a big learning curve with that. It can be a little hard. This is simpler, faster, and more effective, like immediately. Is to take a pad of paper, and at the top, I call it "Thank you, God, for my misery." So thank you, God, that there was this fake inauguration or whatever. Thank you, God, for the bad thing. And you say, thank you, God, blank. And whatever, thank you, God, that I was molested as a child. Thank you, God, that my father was so horrific. Thank you, God, that this happened to my child. Whatever, it's bad, right? But you're thanking God for it, just to put it in a little different context. And then you start listing at least 10 to 15 advantages or benefits as to why that's perfect, why that's working out perfectly in your favor. And it really helps you reframe it. It really helps you get like dramatically accept it. And it helps you to even have epiphanies and breakthroughs. So when I do the exercise, I like to keep a separate pad of paper for the things that occur to me, because spirit just starts coming through to support you. So believe it or not, if you can sit down for like 30 to 45 minutes and just do that on so many different things, on whatever comes to you that you're upset about, thank you, God, for this thing. Thank you, God, for that thing. Thank you, God, that I have no money. Thank you, God, for whatever it is. And then you list all the advantages and benefits that you possibly can. After doing that, at least 6-7 times, something like that, you're set in, you're going to go, oh my gosh, there's nothing ever really going wrong. All for my development, it's all for my growth, it's all bettering and helping humanity. It's all for good. My guides have never led me astray. I've never been abandoned. I've never been forsaken. It's all been purposeful. Even the stuff that I felt went way off the tracks.
Nearing a affirmation.
And that's it is.
It's like reverse engineering an affirmation of sorts, right?
I guess, sure. Yeah. I mean, a couple of my favorite affirmations are like, I am so completely loved and supported in all ways and always. Everything seems to always go so incredible for me. I feel like I've won the lottery in every area of my life. I'm the most blessed person I know. So, I'm so lucky. And lucky is probably not the best word, but I'm so, I just, my life has just turned around so incredible.
Why is lucky not a good word? It's a great word.
It supposedly stems from Lucifer, I guess. And we're learning all that now. We got to relearn so many things.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Maybe you're onto something. Maybe that's the opposite. Maybe lucky is a great freaking word, and they're telling us it's a bad word.
Right.
There's another thing behind that.
Don't use the word because it's not good for you.
Okay, but is it the word or the energy behind the word? You know what I mean? Like if someone was to I'll give it if someone was to say, like with all their I mean they are so angry at you and they're like F you, right? So there's a lot of energy behind how they say that, but then there's also the person say F you, but they say it in a very nice F you. You know what I mean? Is it the word or is it the energy? You know what I mean? What do you think?
Everything is all energy, and it's all a placebo. It all is all what you think it is. The number 69 can be, or 66 or 666 or any of that stuff can mean something positive or negative. Sex can be a great thing or a bad thing. Everything has that to it. So it is what you intend for it to be. It's just that there's an element of, there's been this infiltration of, with our grammar and with our spelling and all kinds of things for years that we're becoming aware of now. So I'm wanting to learn some of the new things, some of the like understanding rather than understanding or
understanding. You got some good ones.
Or
understanding. What are you going to do with this?
There's title. How about like ascension rather than ascension too?
Could I say like, are you understanding me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, see.
Hold on, Amy, don't go nowhere. I want to write this down. What are you going to do with this?
Everything's a placebo, you guys. It's amazing. I mean, I deal with leprechauns and fairies and all kinds of things in my world. If you believe in them, if you believe they exist, I could talk to my couch. Inanimate objects have consciousness. Right. You can talk to anything or do anything. Anything is possible. And
did you catch the last one? It's not an ascension, it's an intercension.
So
incension.
Incension.
Did you understand me?
I did understand
you. Right? You know?
We're not gonna write the other one down.
It boggles my mind to like listen to Russell J. Gould.
I was gonna ask you. That's what I was thinking.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much unlearning to do, and I'm gonna have to go back to school.
Russell J. semicolon.
Right.
Dash, dot. Oh, it's so hard to say all that so long.
You know, I honestly, like my mind, I thought this is the point I need to give my brain a rest, but it didn't work out that way.
Right.
You know? Oh my Lord, this is crazy. Amy Satori, everybody. Amy, thank you very much for coming on here. It's really
You're
great.
welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
You can check out Amy at amysatori.com. We'll have links for you there so you can connect with her, find out more about the work she does and how she can benefit you. We'll also have links there for your podcast. Are those on the site, Amy, where they can find you on your podcast?
I'm not doing the podcast or the show anymore, but I'm on Mondays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 Mountain Standard Time.
Okay.
What was that? What are you doing on Monday and Tuesdays at 4 o'clock?
I'm doing the live.
Okay. Oh, live. There you
go. Mondays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 Mountain Time.
And is that on your? That's on your YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So we'll get a link there for you and everybody on that one too. So check it out there. So Amy, again, thank you very much.
Maybe we'll see you on the Collective Super Channel.
Yay, that'd be great.
That's cool.
I think we'll add you right away.
Yay, awesome.
Amy's great, everybody. I'm sure I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did here today with Amy. It's good. I hope you got a lot out of this. And thank you, everybody, for allowing us in your home. And remember, just, understand me on this one. You got I was gonna say this is so cool. I never said it before. It's so good. I like it. Really understand me on this one. Take control of your life. It's yours to take. It's yours to have. And God bless you. God bless you. Whatever you believe in. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Together we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And remember, tune in often. Tell all your friends. And most importantly, may all your lucky dreams come true. Many blessings.
We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called The Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity, while exposing the truth of the deep state and the dark forces behind it all. We are living in the most unbelievable times. Some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks, and God bless Patriots worldwide.